everyone.
Hello everybody. So last night we had a bit of a chat about what we'd do with today's vlog because we wanted to do something a bit different. And
Just taking my cap off if you're wondering why my head looks so pressured.
It hasn't been beaten up.
And I haven't got really high blood temperature just above there.
So we thought, why don't we just at some point in the day, whatever point, we just stop and just talk directly to you guys about how we're feeling in that day. As much as for us to do it as to hear back from you how you're feeling, and for us to for everyone to get into that thing of actually stopping and going, how actually do I feel? Because you can just so have your nose to the grindstone, can't you, and never actually stop. And I think that causes stress and all sorts of things.
Well, and also having been working in television for so many years that I remember a series called, do you remember Video Diaries?
I do.
Yeah, and they had all the screens, yeah. I mean, it's a device and a technique that program makers use all the time to get to access the so-called authentic emotions of contributors and people. We thought it would make sense to do it to ourselves sometimes. I mean, often we talk on the podcast, on the How Do You Feel mental health talks. We talk to each other about subjects and we talk to you about subjects. But sometimes there's nothing more challenging or like putting a magnifying glass over a moment in the day when perhaps you don't actually really want to open up about stuff and you're a bit agitated and you're a bit frustrated and struggling. And so you turn the camera on and you just talk.
Well, because...
So
quite a few of the meditation apps talk about this, and it's a mindfulness thing, this naming. So you have feelings come up and you just sort of suppress them down, and then that causes anxiety and nerves. And this thing about naming, so something will come up and you just say, oh, okay, worry, and you just say that word.
Yeah.
Oh, anxiety, anxious.
Yeah.
And just by saying it, naming something, it sort of
that sort of
de-powers
resolves it, yeah.
Yeah. So we just thought, and it was interesting suddenly stopping and going, actually, because I was just running through the day. So anyway.
So what we're going to do is we're going to intercut between the two of them. We'll have watched them, and at the back end of it, we're going to tell you, we're going to talk to each other and talk to you about it.
So I've actually come up to Maddie's room to do my stop and think moment. Stop and think and say how, oh God, I can literally never bloody be alone. Now Toffee wants it. You've had your dinner.
Oh God. Okay, so let's turn these lights on. No, wrong light.
Right, can you hear her tail? Literally going, stroke me, love me, feed me, even though she's just been fed, take me out, even though she's just been taken out. It's just constant somebody wanting blooming attention. Right, I have to settle myself and think about. Right, so this challenge that we said, because we just wanted to do something a bit different with the vlog today. You know, this just stop at some point in the day and just really talk directly to the subs about how we feel.
What time is it? 1:45. I literally haven't stopped this morning. Head down, lots and lots of very immersive, brain-taxing work, which means I feel weirdly in terms of the very ahead of myself in terms of work, but very behind myself in terms of welfare, food and all that kind of stuff.
Interestingly, there's been quite a few points I would have liked to have stopped today and have this conversation, but I've just been with people all day long, which was nice. I felt really discombobulated today. It was really weird. I got up and I felt a bit off key, and I did a meditation this morning, had a nice shower, did a little tiny stretch before I went to work. So I got up extra early, got up at 6 to do it, and I did feel much better. And then I felt quite jolly by the time I left to work. You know, all positive. Got to work, and it's really strange. I've been doing Loose Women for how many years? Well, I did the very first one 20 years ago. And every so often you can be hit with nerves. And I was hit with nerves today, and I was with really good friends on the show today. You know, it was Stacey and Andrew and Jane. So it wasn't even like it was a new panellist or anything. I just had crushing self-doubt come in. And just before we went on stage, I said to, it's supposed to be like that. It's fashion. It's not ripped, it's fashion. And just before we went on stage, I said to the girls, I don't think I can do this today. And the music was up and we were live. And I had to step down the stairs and go, if you go and watch Loose Women, you'll see there's a bit with me and Stacey and Andrea laughing as we go downstairs. It's because I've just said to them, I don't think I can do this today.
I do find it less natural to talk about issues around weight, fitness, and all that kind of stuff in a way that Nadia can. I mean, Nadia herself is a self-declared sort of serial, you know, she's done every diet under the book. She's often sort of fought with her weight over the years. And, you know, there's the constant pressures on being a woman, and there aren't that many pressures, but there are pressures on being a man. I mean, okay, I'm 6 years younger than Nadia. You know, I don't need to look fit or be fit. I'm not interested in pulling. I'm not out with the lads every week, you know, and all that kind of stuff. But there are times where I get a little bit wearisome about the fact that, you know, I don't drink, and yet I'm 48 now. I'm 48, and I'm in the worst, well, you know, certainly when I did the weigh-in on the 1st of January, I'm in the worst physical state I've been probably most of my life, insofar as overweight, a lack of, well, I'd come off only 3 weeks of not running. You know, I'm running, but I can feel that I'm not pushing myself. I can feel that I'm not actually going that extra yard, and I think Nadia would probably say she's feeling a bit the same, and that's, on the one hand it's demoralizing, and on the other it's kind of like, well, just get on with it and just up the ante. But that's quite hard.
So I was sort of thinking about that later, and I said, why would you suddenly be hit with such insecurity today? And I think partly it's like whenever you make big changes in your life, it's never just a smooth ride, is it? Because if change was easy, we'd all be changing all the time. So although we've been talking a lot about diet and exercise and everything, and I've been wittering on and probably boring people about the meditation and my desire to succeed with it is because there are things that I really do want to fundamentally change about me, and some of that has come from the unexpected joy of sobriety book that I read, you know, which inspired me to do this 100 days no drinking challenge. And a lot of what she says in that book, some of it was really uncomfortable for me to read.
You know, life, as we all know, and as all you guys know, is so complicated. It demands of you at different times. You know, I'm a father to 4 daughters, and just because my 2 eldest daughters aren't at home anymore, you know, there's all sorts of things that worry me and bother me, and that I'm liaising with or dealing with on an emotional level with them, on a practical level at times. And then, of course, there's our 2 girls, where homeschooling, where a lot of people, I think, assume homeschooling is a luxurious choice that we make. The last thing homeschooling is a luxurious choice. I would say it's a much more luxurious choice in many ways to be able to place your kid, to hand your kid over at the school gates. Nadia's friend Kay once said this, you know, it's far easier just to hand your kids over to someone else, and then if their education doesn't go right, just go in and have a go at them at parents' evening. I remember at my school, my comp school, when I was a kid, you know, I'd see parents coming in and literally attacking the teachers because their kids weren't learning. So, you know, homeschooling is really difficult because actually there's never a point at which you're off the hook.
Some of the things in my personality that I don't like, I do want to change. I do think that I have got, when I've got into menopause, I do think I have got more irritable. Well, they say your estrogen drops out of your system and you don't want to look after and nurture in quite the same way that you used to. So sometimes I do just crave just to be more on my own, or just to not have to look after, or to not have to, you know, Mark and I talked about including in this stop for a minute chat, because lots of people have been asking about our homeschooling thing, and sometimes it's very, very scary. It's very, very scary to go against the grain, and sometimes I can get to a place of resentment about the choices that I've made.
Even of an evening with the girls, you know, because you're slightly worried that because they're not following the absolute syllabus of the nation, because you want them to feel like they can keep up with their friends and what have you, you know, that you feel that you need to turn every situation into a learning experience. And, you know, the benefits are, yes, you can steer it towards the things that interest them the most. You can play to their strengths. But where it becomes really difficult is where your own strengths aren't particularly great, say in maths or something like that, and you're wanting to equip them with all the required learning skills, you know. So why am I going off on a homeschooling thing? Because that gobbles up so much of our time in between the work bits.
I think I'm trying to make big changes in my character. And I think that's why suddenly I was hit with insecurity out of nowhere. Because some of the things that I'm challenging have been scary. Some of the things in my character that I don't like, that I'm trying to change. You know, things that have come up with our How to Stay Married podcast. Things like me not being a good listener. Things like my family and people close to me, everyone that's close to me really does think that I have ADHD. I have an inability to concentrate. I have an inability to stay with things. I have an inability sometimes to just sit still. All these things that I'm trying to just be more mindful of, which is good, are also just destabilising me a bit. And with the homeschooling, sometimes I wake up and I'm so terrified at what we've done because it's just so different from what everybody else does. And it's really debilitating sometimes because it is full on. You know, Mark and I both work, we're freelancers, but we do a lot on social media as well. So there's always something to do. There's always something else you can be doing, you know.
So, you know, me and Nadia, we have lots of time where we're, you know, working from home, and then that working from home bleeds into homeschooling, and then homeschooling bleeds back to work, you know, and so keeping those little islands of work time is meticulously hard. Add into that, you then need to find that's why running for me for like 2 miles is really easy, because I just say to myself, right, in any day I need to allow myself half an hour. And I get into the shorthand of thinking, well, just half an hour, at least I'm doing half an hour. But the rest of the day suffers. So like today, I have not literally looked up from my computer from a range of editing, dealing with financial stuff that I work in, dealing with the creative side of what I do, you know, editing stuff, social media stuff, television stuff, filmmaking stuff. And then, of course, you know, planning and prepping potential lessons and what have you for the girls too. You know, you look up and it's 1:50. I mean, I'm working in central London today, and it's hard.
We come home from work and then we got to do the wash and we got to do the cooking, and it's like, have I done enough exercise? And the reason, you know, the real reason that I want to lose weight is I want to be healthier and stronger, because I do feel the pressure of being an older mum, and I want to be really fit and healthy and live to a ripe old age for my children. So being 2 stone overweight and not having exercised properly for ages is very important that I change that. It's really important. Not about the way I look. It's not about the way I look.
It's hard to kind of just say, put the phone down. There's always the feeling that you could be doing a bit more. So, you know, I think I've hit my own personal bump in the road where today, add into all of that, I really feel like I've got the monkey on my back today. We've talked a lot on other films on this channel about depression, and I'm really struggling. I'm struggling with a range of very private emotional issues with members of the family. I'm struggling with you know, self-esteem issues. I'm struggling with, you know, I mean, it sounds pathetic, and I'm sure people who suffer from depression will identify with this, but there are times where you just struggle with the lifeness of life. I mean, it sounds really fucking self-indulgent, but it's not. It's like, it's really hard just to put one emotional step in front of the other. You get up and you get on with the day. But there can be times where the reason my head's been down today is because I haven't wanted to face how I'm feeling in my heart.
When I come home and I think, oh my God, I worked all day, I've done this, I've done that, I'm cooking the dinner. Shit, where am I going to squeeze the exercise in? This stuff is big adult stuff, isn't it? It's big adult stuff. And, you know, the not drinking means that I'm having to face my feelings more, and sometimes my feelings are, I don't particularly want to feel them. Be really great to have a big glass of wine tonight. But I have full resolve. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it because I'll feel really bad afterwards, because I really, really want to give myself this challenge and I want to succeed at it. So I'm going to.
The reason I've avoided meditation is because if I stop and I let space in to think, I'm worried I may never stop metaphorically crying inside, if you know what I mean. So it's hard. It's, you know, we're strange, complicated fucking creatures that it's all well and good saying, right, I need to eat this or I need to do that. But, you know, we rail against, you know, being told what to do. We want to feel free. We're never free. And anyway, I don't really know what I'm saying. All I'm saying is I know that it's 5 to 2. I've got virtually nothing on my Fitbit. I'm hungry. I'm cold. I'm tired. I've had a double espresso. And yeah, that's it really.
God, I've really whittled on. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry if I've just whittled on, but what we'd love is to know how you're feeling too. Yeah. Yeah. We the sharing back and forth that we've done has really, really helped us, and Mark and I talk about that all the time. We love our little getting healthy, getting well community. So, yeah, leave your comments below. How are you feeling today? So cold.
It is cold, actually. I'm well. Anyway, so we've watched.
So there it was.
I've watched you.
And I've watched you.
And I haven't actually watched myself back. So what did I ramble on about? I didn't realise that I probably went on quite a lot about homeschooling. I don't know why.
Well, we decided to do that. We said, didn't we, to incorporate anything that comes up that day. And actually, I talked about homeschooling as well, because I think it is something that actually we do worry about a lot. Just like when somebody sends their kids to school and you worry about the school and you worry if it's the right school and you worry what the teachers are like and you worry what the kids are like. Well, we just have a different set of worries. It's not that there's no worry, we just have a different set of worries. And sometimes I think we almost don't talk to each other about it because we've just got to get on with it.
I'll tell you what I thought it was. I don't know whether this is something that people could do that are subscribing. It was quite a good exercise, sitting back. Because, of course, you can't interrupt someone who's recorded a message. You know, you could not be focused. So I put my phone down and I just watched what you were saying and listened to what you were saying. And it was quite interesting how much I listened or how much I heard you, what you were saying, how much I heard what you were saying about sudden drop of estrogen has led you to sort of, that...
That is so incredible.
What?
That's the first
that's
thing
not
you
the first
talk
thing.
about.
No,
yes,
that's not the first
That's
thing.
the first thing you've just said. You've just said it to the subs. They've just seen it.
No,
it's the
no, because
the
I hadn't.
estrogen thing and not maybe wanting to look after and first thing you said.
It's not about that.
First thing you said.
It was about the fact that I don't hear that stuff because we don't say it to each other. That's what I meant. Seriously.
What about all the other stuff I said then? What else did I say?
Well, yeah, you were talking about the pressures and the desire for,
Making it up now,
Not
look.
making
it up. Yes, you are.
No, the pressures of having over the years dieted and wanting to see if you can challenge yourself and wanting,
No, I didn't say that.
In terms of the drinking, yes, you did. In terms of dry January.
Yeah, but the stuff about challenging these things that I want to change in my character.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or change is the wrong word, but just to adjust, to get loads of the switches and just do a bit of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and you were talking about the fact that it's probably Maddie dashing away
running
out of
away 'cause
embarrassment.
she thinks
Oh,
these
God,
bloody
parents are banging on about their emotions again.
God.
I mean, but the stuff about potentially the book that you've read, and you were just on the phone. I think you've got the guest on Loose Women tomorrow.
Yeah,
haven't you?
the author.
The writer, talking about the way in which it revealed and made you think about certain characteristics and traits. I mean, when I hear you talking like that on the footage that I've just seen, I get very protective of you, actually.
Which bit? I don't know which bit.
Where you're talking about how it threw up emotions in yourself.
Yeah.
Where you can be...
Not drinking.
Drinking, and how, your ADHD-ness and not listening and you've been challenged by the book about who you are and certain parts of your personality. Giving something up, as you said, trying to change anything in your life challenges you because, of course, we all want to just sort of sit in the status quo. And I think probably the reason homeschooling maybe came up for both of us today is that I think a lot of people have the misconception that homeschooling is a sort of passive decision rather than a very, very proactive and stressful decision that throws up a lot about who you are and what your values are and how you live your life and what you want your children to be and how much you want your children to not be like you, be like you. You know, all these things come skittling in. And so when I saw you talking, it's interesting. It was quite affirming actually, as an act of therapy. I thought it made me feel very warm and protective.
Why?
So, well, because why are you being so sort of
why?
quite aggressive in the way you're
Oh,
asking
sorry,
questions?
no, I didn't, if it must have come out wrong. I mean, in what way?
No, because immediately the suggestion was that because I homed in on the estrogen, that I was homing in on the one part of everything you said that reflected and affected us. I was actually homing in on that because, you know, I don't think about those things in relationship to you. I'm not thinking about what's going on in your body. I do just see the behaviour. I do just see the mood that one gets in a day. And it's hard to contextualise how people are in their moods. And so like today, for example, I think I texted you at one point today and I said, look, you know, it's probably best if you don't give me a ring. I'm working, but I've really got the monkey on my back today. And what I mean by that is depression. And I rarely actually identify it as depression, actually. Because I think a part of the sort of condition, a bit like alcoholism, is that almost the definition of it as a disease, I'm not saying it is a disease, but as an illness, is that it seeks to tell you that you haven't got it. So I think it's very easy for depressed people to keep pushing on. Their behaviour becomes intolerable or irascible or irritating to themselves and others. And actually, you've got, you know, as I say, I feel sort of anxious. You have an enormous cloud over you that you feel slightly embarrassed about because it sounds so sort of indulgent and like it's a choice and like it's because you're not achieving something else in your day or you're not doing something else that you should be doing with yourself. So when I heard you talk about the estrogen thing, I was thinking, God, yeah, you know, you are going through it. And it's not like the menopause happens on a day and it ends on another day. It's an immersive thing that will have a moment of intensity here. It might disappear then for 2 years.
Yeah, it does fundamentally shift who you are, and you have to find it's just like the plates just move, and you've got to try and find your way back to some sort of balance, and it's really hard. So a lot of the time, like even on the train today, I was thinking, I'm really scared. I just don't actually at the moment sometimes know who I am at all. Do you get that?
To that?
Do you get that? You think, who the hell am I? What the hell is this all about?
I felt like I was working near the Thames and I felt like I was on a raft most of the day. And I think the reason my head goes down and I stay focused and I keep just writing, working, researching, trading, whatever it is that I'm doing, I do that because actually, especially today, if I look up for 5 minutes, I feel like the insurmountability of everything is just crashing constant. And it's the constancy of things. Yes, you can stop. Yes, you could have a sleep. I think that's why maybe depressives don't want to get out of bed. There's this sense that you can stay protected somehow if you're in bed. I mean, I don't get that particularly, but I do get a desire to distract and hide and immerse myself in something that takes me out of feeling myself. And I think you mentioned in your bit about, you stopping drinking, you've got your feelings back. And it was interesting hearing you say that. And I thought, and it made me think again about, there's nothing that mediates us from our feelings. So, why is all this in this about Vloguary? Well, I suppose this is what it all throws up. Trying to make yourself healthier in body and healthier in mind means you have to face shit. You have to face all sorts of shit, whether it be, why am I stuffing food in at stupid hours of the night? Why am I using food? Why am I using drink? Why am I using these things?
Why am I shopping? Why am I
doing whatever it is that I'm doing? But for me at the moment, I'm really cross-addicting because I just keep distracting with work all the time. That's the way I'm doing it. But yeah, so I felt very... So in a weird way, watching you talk, and the fact that we cut them both together, I sort of thought, we're on the same page. So I felt very protective. I felt very sort of favourable and sort of warm
thank you.
Concerned for you and me.
Stop rattling your keys.
Sorry.
Well,
what did you get from
mine?
Well,
when I was watching yours, I felt...
I look like Kevin Spacey.
I just felt that the answer is obvious to me, but
Answer to what?
The answer to ease some of the angst. To me, like for you, when you look at me, you can probably go, well, if Nadia just this and just that.
No, I
And
don't
for me, I look at
necessarily,
you and I
actually.
think
I think some things aren't answerable.
not everything, but I think that you do cross-addict to work. I think that you drive yourself into the ground. You don't sleep much at all, which then causes you to snack and eat in a way that you don't want to, which makes going for your run, the fact that you're tired is, even your run, you go out and I've got to do this run, and I look at you and I think, where is your joy in this? And that's why I so want you to read the book, because it's like, where's the joy in your sobriety? Because I think you worked so hard, you've worked so hard to be sober, and I think sometimes you're not reaping the rewards of it.
Well, I don't know, yeah.
And
I mean,
that,
what is joy?
I worry
what
about...
is the joy? What?
I worry about the stress cortisol levels in you, because you're always stressed. I mean, the great thing about you is you can really, really laugh. You can be really silly. You can be really playful, and I think that keeps you alive. And that genuinely is part of you. But it's either all that or it's total. And you're so driven, and you're so hardworking, and you're so focused, and it's like tick, 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 tick. And I just look at that imbalance, and it frightens me. I do actually get frightened. I think you're going to get ill if you don't. Fine. And I don't talk about meditation, because obviously it's got to be something else. And you spoke the other week about music being the way, but I bet you, since you've spoken to me about that, you haven't sat and
I haven't allowed myself the indulgence.
That's it. And so for me, as your wife and as a person who loves you, when I watched that film, I felt powerless, because I know that I say all these things to you all the time, but you are in your... Like we all are, we're all in our fire, we're all... It's very hard for any of us to hear what somebody else has got to say. It's really hard.
Well, because I see it with you sometimes, when I can
Yeah.
see outside of you that you're in a state, and I'm saying to you,
Yeah.
actually, you know what, actually the thing you're telling me to do, and this does happen a lot, Subs, I'll often say to, especially at the weekends, I think at the weekends, you see the weekends somehow as a receptacle to catch up on whatever it is you haven't managed to
Which I think
achieve
a lot of
in your head.
people do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But sometimes, I can approach, say, a Saturday morning very much with the idea of, hang on a minute, this is a time when you're supposed to be able to go and buy the papers, go for a walk the dogs, but buy the papers, have a coffee, and have some relatively guilt-free time. I'd say that Saturday and Sunday mornings for you are as sort of require as much sort of attention to getting the most and maximising out of them. So when I see that for you, no amount of me telling you that is going to make you change. You're on a route to do whatever it is that you want to do. I mean, I do think, as soon as you're living in a family or you're in a relationship and all that kind of stuff, it's the extent to which you are willing or able to knock yourself off your own mission in order to accommodate others and be sensitive to others, which is hard, isn't it, sometimes?
It's an interesting exercise.
Cheers.
Take a moment, stop, think how you are, think where you're going, think what you're up to, think what you may be not critical. What's a positive way of saying self-critical?
Self-aware.
Yeah. So just pause and think, how actually am I feeling? Yeah.
I
Leave
don't
your
know.
comments
Sometimes
below.
I feel like I know so much about the right way to do things, and then as
not able at all to
rapidly
do
as
them.
possible,
It's
within 2 minutes, I feel I know nothing.
Exactly.
And that I find disorientating and giddy, and I keep expecting as I get older. It's really funny. All of you guys really love Nanny Di, and I've got so close to Nanny Di, and I've been thinking a lot about my nan who died, and I was thinking a lot today because I couldn't get hold of my mum, and I needed to, only because we're going to New York and stuff like that, and she'd been feeling quite ill and stuff like that, and then, you have these thoughts about the fact that the mortality of people who are close to you, and I just suddenly had a moment of sheer wild panic. I've never had a relationship with my mum where I'm kind of dependent on her. She's always kind of, it's not been that sort of relationship. And I thought, my God, I can't even begin to imagine what would happen if anything happened to her. I felt so vulnerable just for a minute. It was so weird. So weird how you can have these moments, can't you? And I couldn't work out if that's to do with the fact that I hadn't got my steps, hadn't eaten anything, hadn't
Probably,
drunk any water.
yeah.
But you'd put it down to all those things, whereas some of this stuff is just the stuff of life.
No, I don't just.
No, I'm not saying you only put it down to that, but
I'm
one will come in with...
self-care supports the moments that come along. I'm not saying these moments don't come along, but when you're not doing the self-care as
you
well,
can be better prepared to cope
you're
with
less
them.
prepared to cope.
No, I get that. I see that. Well, there you go, guys. I don't know
I've
what
got to
the
baste my
hell.
chicken now.
I don't know what the hell any of that has served,
No.
other than to probably thoroughly depress you. Lots of love, guys. See you tomorrow for.
Bye.
Was it going to be tomorrow?
I
Mad
don't know.
Friday
We haven't
cross-cutting
decided yet.
madness.
Bye.